Hello and welcome to all Thistle fans as we kick off Series 2, Episode 2 of the official Partick Thistle Football Club podcast. This series is proudly sponsored by Pitch Me and is produced in partnership with our host, the Podcast Rooms. Hot on the heels of last week's first episode of the new series with Stuart Bannigan, I'm happier than Waziri Williams today to be joined by the one and only Scott Robinson, aka Robbo. Robbo, thanks for your time today and joining me up here in the Podcast Rooms. How are you today?
All good, Brian, aye? All good. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Only one place to start today. I want to just talk about last night's game. Did you watch it?
Fortunately, aye.
That allows me to drill in. I want to ask you about the penalty decision from a attacking player's point of view. What's your take on it?
No chance for me. I think Kane's... the angle his foot's gone is falling through. Dumfries, you can't do much about that. I think if you're getting that this day and age, and football's gone far too soft for me.
Yeah. Clearly it was a VAR game and VAR caused it to be awarded. It seems an obvious question, in a game in the Championship next season, do you see that kind of penalty being given?
If that got given against us, you'd be fuming. Like, if that's the way football's gone, then it's not looking good. Like, it's far too soft. I mean, what's the rule? A clear and obvious error?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a clear and obvious error for the ref.
No.
It's just a sort of coming together. Harry Kane's followed through. There is contact, but I think it's a clear and obvious.
What's a defender meant to do, eh?
I know.
Yeah. What without labouring on this too much, because we want to talk about you in Partick Thistle, but when you approach a game that's covered by VAR, is there any difference in the mindset given, what potentially might happen on the pitch?
I'm not going to lie, it would be for me, eh?
Yeah.
If I can gain any advantage out of VAR and you feel a bit of contact, then you're probably going to go down knowing they're going to look at it. You've been touched, so it's going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I would like to get rid of it.
It's
not for me.
You probably speak for the majority of players there, don't you? So it's England v Spain on Sunday. Just before we move on to All Matters Thistle, where do you think this one's going?
Spain win.
Yeah,
guaranteed. England can't win.
Spain's
too good.
You heard it here first. Si, senor. Excellent. Right, thanks for your time today. Just a wee health check, I suppose, because you did sit out on Saturday, but you're in full health and ready for this Saturday. Is that fair to say?
Aye, all good, Brian. Just a wee bit of illness gone about, I think. Gone. I think a couple of hours I've had it now. A couple of staff members as well. So I'm glad I've had it now. I'm back just in time for the cup.
Yeah. So wee bit of the German flu going about, possibly.
I think so.
Aye. How has pre-season been otherwise for you?
Really good. Had a really good first week. I think I got 35 to 40k in the legs in the first week. Finished off with a bounce game on Saturday. So I was all good, and then picked up that illness last week. Missed a couple of friendlies, but it's good to be back in amongst it this week with the boys, and looking forward to Saturday.
What's the difference for a player in his early 30s compared to his teens and 20s, I suppose, preparing for and being involved in a pre-season? Do you treat it any differently? Do you prepare differently over the summer?
I did this summer. I done quite a bit this summer to sort of stay in shape for coming back. I think obviously last season I was playing a bit catch up. I was out for, I think I had a 5-6 week break and never done as much as I probably should have. Whereas the boys were probably ahead of me. I think they only had 3 weeks off last week after the playoff last season after their playoff game. So I wanted to make sure I came back fit and firing and ready to go this season.
Excellent to hear. As I said to Banjo last week, mood in the camp seems really positive. Like Stuart, I'd like to just get your take on the new additions today. Robbie, Kyle, Logan, Dan and Lee. Real strength added to the squad and hopefully more to come.
Aye, the squad's looking really good. I think we've got that strength and depth there that's, it's needed if you want to go on a winning run to challenge for a title, hopefully win a league. We're going to need that. We maybe need a wee bit cover up front. Rico's been brilliant, to be fair. He's looking really good in training, but he's still young himself. So maybe an extra one up there and potentially a goalie maybe to help Mitch out a bit cover there. But no, we're looking really good and looking forward to the competitive game starting.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm glad you mentioned Rico, because this week he's signed his new contract, take him up to 2027, the club protecting their assets. And after a breakthrough season last season, this is the real deal for him to really get his teeth into it, isn't it?
Aye, well deserved as well, Brian. He's been brilliant. He just needs to keep at it. Make sure every day, he's at it. Doesn't have any days off where but maybe body language isn't quite at it. If he trains the way he has been recently, I'm sure he'll get more game time, and he's got Brian to look up to as well. Who's there's no many better to look up to. So he's in good hands here.
He sure is. Let's go on to Scott Robinson. Your home is in Maryhill now. Your pathway to here is littered with highlights and interesting anecdotes, and we'll go through some of them. But just starting with the young Scott Robinson, growing up, kicking a ball like so many people at the club now. It goes without saying, I guess football was always the dream for you, was it?
Aye, that's it. As you can imagine, just you had a football wherever you were, out in the streets, local park, Astro, wherever it was, just football everywhere. So you always dreamed of being a professional football player, and I've been lucky enough to make that happen. So absolutely delighted.
And where was home for you when you were born and sort of brought up? Where
right in just a sort of housing estate in the middle of Edinburgh, just off the Royal Mile. Place called Dijk. Nobody through the West, I know, but just a scheme sort of in Edinburgh. A good upbringing, just always on the streets playing football and that the way it should be. Never had any coaching or that as a young age. I think you just learn being out and amongst it with my big brother and all his mates and that. I think that's what brings you on. Seemed to bring me on as a young lad anyway. So I think I've got a lot of them to thank for that.
Toughened up from a young age.
Aye.
Hutchison Vale, a name synonymous with so many famous Scottish football careers, especially in the East. What a place to play football. Talk us through how you arrived there and how that helped your football development.
Just sort of started as I'm talking about. I was just playing out in the streets, the park and that, up the Astro with like my big brother and that, and one of his mates' dads said, I think we need to get you into a team, wee man. So he took me along, got involved in Hutchie, and just never really looked back. For then, just went through the age groups. I think under 13s we started doing pretty well. I think we won like 7 trophies that year, Scottish Cup. Airdrie we beat Glenafton. And then after that, I think a couple of scouts were speaking to my manager at the time, wanting me to go to like Hearts and Hibs and that. And with all my family being Hibs fans, they thought I was going to go to that side. But Hearts offered to take me away to a pre-season tournament, and just really enjoyed it. Never looked back for then, and had to come back and tell my family I was choosing Hearts over Hibs. They weren't too happy, but that was my decision. That
was a decision you've never looked back and thought I've made the wrong one, because it took you places and has given you the foundation for a great career.
I would say so.
Yeah. What talk to us just about that early development at Hearts, coaches around you, the environment. Who was of a kind of great assistance to you as you made your early steps?
All my coaches were brilliant for a young age of me. I think I sort of learned to play all different positions across the midfield and up front, which helps me now. I think the gaffer knows wherever needed. If he needs me to play out wide, if we've got a couple of injuries, I'll do that. If I need to fill in deeper, I'll do that as well. I think I know positions pretty well, so that's probably if they've been coached well for a young age. But probably Darren Murray, my youth coach, was the biggest influence. He sort of pushed me on, got me involved with the first team, which was good.
Thistle fans maybe only really seen you in that number 10 role and playing even closer to Brian than that. But you did play in the kind of orthodox holding mid or central mid. So if pushed back to that late in a game, say to cover, you're very comfortable in that position. I
can play there. I know that role as well. Also had to play there with Hearts as well when we went into administration. Sort of doing the bare bones at times and had to play that deeper role, which was fine. So, but I know the role well. Obviously, I want to be up playing close to Brian, as you know. We've simply got a good partnership going, so I am really looking forward to that this season.
During that spell at Hearts, I think a couple of fact checks here. In fact, you were the youngest ever SPFL player at that time when you made your debut, I believe, and youngest debut for Hearts as well. So you really, 16 years and maybe a month or two, is that right? That must have been quite an experience at that age.
Aye, that's right. I think I turned 16 in the March, and then the April, I got told, I think I trained maybe the Thursday, Friday with the first team. I went in and Darren, who I was talking about, said, you're with the first team today. They've got I don't know what it was at the time, injuries or suspensions. So I got the nod, trained for a couple of days, and I was needed for the Saturday in the squad. So I managed to get on, got a couple of minutes at the end. And if Big Lee Wallace had maybe passed to me, I might have nicked a wee goal as well. But no, it was great to make my debut at such a young age. If you look back now, you can see the strips just like hanging off me. Far too big for me. I don't know where they found it for, but I'll look back at that when I'm finished, and it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. I think you've mentioned Lee Wallace in the past as someone who really, looked after you in those early years, put his arm around you and made sure you were, in a good place as you kind of developed as a youngster. Is that fair to say too? Yeah.
Aye, he was key, Brian. He's a great guy, great with all the young lads coming through. Made sure we were well looked after. We felt comfortable in training, which you do anyway after a few weeks. As the months go by, you start to feel comfortable. But he made sure for day one, he had an arm around you and just wee words in the ear, guidance. Just things I'll try and do now with the young ones coming through.
Yeah.
Anything I can pass on to like Rico, Ben Stanley, just any young lads really. But I talked to Ben Stanley a lot. A great player, got a great chance in the game, and his attitude's absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
Along with Rico and others. So we've got good youth players coming through at this club.
Absolutely. And funny you should mention making your debut just after 16, because of course Kieran Loney did the same here recently, and he's now got his big move to Everton. So you just never know what's around the corner in football, and all the very best to him. Let's talk about your Hearts highlights. I've picked out 3, but I'm sure there's many more. But there's a lot of Scots screaming at the telly last night for Harry Kane to miss his penalty, but you've seen it in the flesh, haven't you, down at White Hart Lane?
Aye, that's right, Brian. I think it was his European debut that night.
He
must have been, I think I was 19, so I think he must have been 18. I'm sure he's in 1993 maybe. His European debue. He got a penalty that night. Must have thought he was getting his first European goal, but unfortunately for us, it never really mattered in the end. We were well beat 5-0 in aggregate, but we managed to get a 0-0 down at White Hart Lane that night. And it was against a decent Spurs team as well. Some good
with some names.
Kudacini played, Chorluka, the right back, Croatia internationalist, Kranjčar, Tom Huddleston.
Wow.
I managed to get his strip. Another one that massive hanging off me. Kabul, Dawson, Asu Akoto. Still had a good team. Pavlichenko, I think it was him and Kane up front. They're a really good team.
That was around the time.
Great experience when you're a 19-year-old kid playing down at White Hart Lane. It was brilliant.
Was that your European debut?
It was actually. We played them the week before, but I was just on the bench. I never played that game. And then, that was my European debut.
What's that like running out at White Hart Lane? What age were you then?
19.
19,
sorry.
19.
Sure. It's brilliant. Even the whole experience, Brian, you get to train there the night before on the park, White Hart Lane. Like, everything's just, even the way the ball was rolling on the grass, like, just amazing. It was brilliant. Great experience, as I say, at that young age, and just stands you in good stead, really, for the rest of your career.
I'd ask you if that was the best stadium you've played at, but I know you've played at another English ground as well. Talk to us about that one.
Well, fortunately, again, we managed to... did we get there? We won the Scottish Cup the year before, so we qualified for Europe again, and then we drew Liverpool. We managed to keep it a bit closer this time. It was 1-0 the first game at Tynecastle. Andy Webster scored an own goal, and then David Templin managed to score late on. I think it was 80 odd minutes. Yeah. And then you're thinking it could go to extra time here, and then out of nowhere, Luis Suarez just goes up and scores, knocks us out. Again, great experience seeing Gerrard in the flesh. Yeah. Suarez, Pepe Reina, top team. And you get to train at Anfield the night before, so just brilliant.
Did you play in either of those games?
I came on first game at Tynecastle, and then I think I was warming up when Tempster scored.
Yep.
And then
it's gone extra time.
So I think I might have got on at extra time, fresh legs, thinking it's gone there. And as I say, Suarez just turned it on, and I scored a late goal, and that was us it.
That was you. Ah, man. Did you get a jersey that night?
I got one the first game. Do you mind Jay Speeding?
Mm-hmm.
He was quite young at the time, broke through at Liverpool. I managed to get his, so another good one to keep.
Yeah. And that was a Liverpool team with Gerrard and the full shebang, eh?
Aye,
Suarez.
they had. I imagine somebody had already tapped him up for his strip, or I would have been straight for him. But Gerrard, Suarez, I think Raheem Sterling played. Pepe Reina, all them top team. So I don't even know how far they went in the competition that year, but it's just good experience.
Yeah.
As I say, 19, 20.
Does Anfield just about edge White Hart Lane, just that extra special?
I would say so. Just Liverpool with a big tradition, with their history and that, European nights, and again seeing Gerrard and Suarez, I think tops it.
Aye. Who's I think we've asked you this. Who's your English team again?
Newcastle.
Aye. Is that right?
Don't know why. Just closest to him. Something different as well.
Aye.
Always support them.
Good stuff. Just mentioning some of those famous players probably brings me to a couple of obvious questions that fans like to know from every player, and that's, first of all, the best player you've played with, and then the best player you've played against. If I can just drop those in right now with no warning to you whatsoever.
With club level, just for the sheer fact, scoring important goals, and he would just dig you out a hole out of nowhere. Sometimes he wouldn't notice him that much in the game, but Rudy Scatchell, he would just score important goals. I mind we went out to 10 men one game. We were getting beat 2-1. Just scored 3 screamers, hat-trick. We ended up winning 5-2 with 10 men. At home.
Were they like outside the box, some of them?
I think everyone, just screamers, honestly. Like,
ridiculous.
Like, why are you even shooting for there? But it's the best left foot I've ever seen. And again, like in Scottish Cup final, I think he scored a double that day. Just brilliant.
We'll come back to the cup final for sure. Best played against?
Van Dijk.
Aye.
And Wanyama. They're just 2
absolute machines.
Aye. It's just when you rub shoulders with them, it's like boys against men. They're just absolute machines, as you say. And I'd probably say they too.
So you're watching that game last night and you're seeing players you've played against. That's quite something.
Aye. Obviously Van Dijk strolled it up here. He always knew he was going to big things, and then moved again for Southampton to Liverpool, and it's probably on his day, in my eyes, probably the best on his day.
Yeah.
Finds it too easy at times. It's like he's not even trying half the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes could be a wee fault in the big games, but he's top. He's brilliant.
Right, Scottish Cup final, arguably the most famous day in the history of Hearts Football Club. Heart of Midlothian, the semi-final as well, which was significant with what went on, and you were a part of that game too. So let's start with the semi-final, because you don't get to beat Hibs 5-1 if you don't take care of Celtic in the semi, which is no mean feat. What was that day like for you before we even get to the final?
It was brilliant. Also, we had prepared the whole week. We had a really good gaffer then, Paulo Sergio, Portuguese gaffer. He was tactically brilliant. Some of his training, a lot of boys would find boring at times. A lot of sort of shape and just walking pace towards the end of the week. But you're well drilled. Everyone knew their jobs, and it shows we're going on to win a Scottish Cup. He thought of a game plan brilliantly for the Celtic semi-final. That's when I'm talking about sort of knowing positions. It came for him as well.
Yeah.
I got made to play on the right-hand side, and I just had to track Charlie Mulgrew up and down all day, make sure I'd stopped him delivering balls into the box the whole of the first half. And he says, if we're 0-0 at half time and it's tight, he says, I'm going to take you off. He told me.
Is that right?
Aye. Before the game. He says, just do a job up and down. I want you to track him. He's like, I've got a plan, trust me. So I came off Craig Beattie on at half time, and I'm not joking, within 2 minutes we scored. Rudy Scatchell again, really? I think it was. I think Beattie flicked one, might have played one into him, and I were 1-0 up with 2 minutes into the second half. They managed to equalise, and then Beats gets a penalty and does the famous Beattie behind the goal against Celtic. But Paulo Sergio was brilliant. Then we knew Hibs won the day before, so
Yeah.
we knew we had that wee extra incentive.
Yeah.
It was going to be an Edinburgh Derby final,
Incredible.
which was brilliant.
Yeah. So when you get an instruction like that, you potentially only got 45 minutes.
Aye.
I know you give 100% every game, but you must have ran your heart out for that 45 minutes. Have you ever run more than a half?
Aye, I did. You can actually watch the highlights back, and I sort of just pressed my groove for the first minute, and I went it back, and we're through, and we almost score. I think Stephen Elliott actually shoots, and it sort of just set the tempo for the first half. It gave me that bit of confidence to sort of just try and always get in his face and track him up and down the whole half. And then, as I say, I got the hook at half time, and it doesn't matter now. We went on to win, and we went on to win the final as well.
Win the final and then some. This will be mainly watched by Thistle fans. If any Hibs fans are listening, I apologise, but you came on late in that game, and you've spoken about what a strange experience it was, because coming on a final usually very tense, but you were in the comfort zone by then. What was it like to watch that unfold first on the bench, and then explain your feelings when you came on?
Well, as you can imagine, it was the typical Edinburgh derby to start with, tense, cagey. We went 1-0 up. Darren Barr scored, and I think McPake equalised. So it was quite tense for a while. And then I'm sure, I don't know, did Driver get Kujabi, their left back, sent off? Maybe it was a turning point.
Aye.
And then I don't know if Rudy scored or Danny Granger scored a penalty. I'm sure they went down to 10 men, and we just took over for the end. It became easy. And then, as you know, we got to 5-1, and I came on with whatever 10 plus minutes, or I don't know how long I got, but I was just like playing in the park with your mates, just passing the ball about. They were just wanting the final whistle.
What was Paolo's instruction to you with 10 minutes to go?
It was still quite serious. He was like, go out and make sure you enjoy it, do things right. And I just enjoy it, really. But half the Hibs fans in my family were doing the M8 already, so it's a strange experience. But again, something to look back to when I finished and be proud of.
Mixed emotions for the wider Robinson family. But what was it? I mean, those celebrations must have been off the scale.
If you can see photos of the parade the next day, I think there was over 100,000, maybe 200,000 on the streets. Don't know if they were all jambos, but it was a great day, sunny day as well, and you can imagine the celebrations. Just good memories, good things,
good stuff. As well as all this club success, before then, early in your career, you also had Scotland recognition. A couple of highlights to pick out of. Scoring a couple of times against Spain for the under-16s, and then we'll come on to captain in the under-19s. But what do you remember about that double for Scotland under-16s?
I mind that being one of my first games. I think we had played Belgium under-15s. That was my first game. Managed to score that one, and then I think we played. This was an under-16 tournament in Portugal. I was on the bench actually. And then came on at half time, and I managed to nick two goals
quite quickly.
Quite quickly. Jack McMillan, as you know, he's a football fanatic, so he used to quiz me about all that. Like, I wonder who you played against, who was in that Spain team, and that. And we actually looked it up, and I'm sure Koke played that day. And Atletico Madrid, the centre mid. I think he was playing that day. I don't know if there was anyone else. And we checked our Croatia game I played as well, and Kramaric, the striker. He played, and the right back that plays for Atletico, he's not at Atletico Madrid now, but he played as well. So something
they'll be shouting at us, and when they listen to it.
It's something you didn't even think about when you're at that age. Like, you know, they're going to be big stars, but it's something to look back on.
Amazing. What was it? You know, wearing a Scotland jersey and scoring for your country can't be anything like that. What was it like?
It's great, Brian. It's
goes without saying.
It's not only that, like you get to go, you get to see the world. You didn't realise at the time you're just a young laddie, but if you look back now, some of the countries you get to go to. I'm lucky enough I've been at like Malta, Portugal, Turkey, Germany, all these places, Croatia, and then like. You're travelling everywhere with them. You're getting looked after, best training bases, facilities, and you're representing your country as well. So, it's absolutely brilliant. You know, and it's something look back on once I've finished
Yeah.
and be proud of it again.
What's your national anthem approach? Are you belting it out? Are you in the zone? What was?
I did sing quietly, but I think you've got to sing it.
Absolutely.
You've got to be passionate. And you're just a young kid as well, so you ought to tune, but you just sort of sing it.
Quite emotional, a wee bit? Or are you
no, really, no, you're just sort of proud.
Yeah.
Just representing your country, getting picked at a selected few.
Fair enough.
It's
I think I've still got Germany PTSD, so I'm probably still emotional. And captaining under-19s, I mean, it's one thing playing for your country, but captaining them, that must have been immense.
Billy Stark said to me before, I think we played Malta that night at Capello. I want you captain us tonight, captain the team. You've been part of the setup since you were 15. So I think you deserve to lead the team out. Again, another proud moment. I've still got all my strips in that.
Superb.
Really good.
Excellent. Is that captaincy? Is that something? I'm not sure. Kilmarnock, Dunfermline, East Fife, Livingston, Kilmarnock before Thistle. Has there been much of a role in that front for you at all in your playing career?
No, not really. But the Pablo Sergio, who I'm talking about there, it was brilliant for me in my career, and obviously trusted me to play me in big games and Scottish Cup finals and Tottenham away and all that. He gave me the captain's armband for Hearts one game. Big Zaliukas, obviously, unfortunately, he's nowhere now, the big guy.
Yeah.
But he went off injured one game, and he told me to lead the team in second half as well, which is a great achievement. 19-year-old, and you're leading Hearts out at Tynecastle.
Wow.
I think he had a lot of faith in me.
Yeah.
He's a great manager. Learned a lot of him. But no, apart from that, no really.
Yeah.
No really.
What you've talked about Paulo a few times now, because he's been involved in some of the key moments in your career. Looking through your whole club career, which managers have kind of influenced you positively the most?
I would say him.
Yeah.
He taught me play a lot of roles differently as well, tactically, in terms of learning the game. When to press, when not to press. Always talking, communicating to people around you. He was a massive influence. I think he came to us for Sporting Lisbon as well. So he was a top gaffer. He's still managing in Portugal now, and Hearts were desperate to keep him, just couldn't afford him at the time. I think the club ended up going into administration. But he was top gaffer.
Good. Right, that's enough about everyone else. Let's talk about Partick Thistle Football Club joining the Jags. Obviously, last summer, easy decision for you.
Easy. As I said at the time, I had a couple of options, but this was the club I wanted to come to. I'd watched the team closely before in the playoffs the season before. Came really close, and I just wanted to be part of, hopefully getting the club up. It wasn't quite to be again last season, but I've got a good feeling about this season, and hopefully we can get the job done. Yeah,
absolutely. And because of especially the Livingston influence at the club.
You've got to mention that.
No, we're not going to go down one road, but well, because you walked into a dressing room where you had the likes of Stevie Lawless, Jack McMillan. You played against other players as well, so I'm guessing the settling in period was pretty short.
It was easy. They made it easy for me as well. Obviously, knowing Jack, I car shared with him last season. Him and Blair Alston. Not got anyone yet. I'm travelling myself this season, so hopefully the club can sort that out. But they made it easy. Great club to come to as well. As I've probably said to you before, that's why I really want to get the club promoted as well. There's that many good people here that the club means that much to them. So to make them happy as well, it would mean the world to me.
As would it for all of us. Reflecting on last season, not quite a season of two halves, but obviously a stop-start first half of the season, if you like. You were unfortunate with a couple of injuries, which just didn't allow you to have momentum. But second half of the season, momentum is well and truly found. And if you looked at your second half of the season form, put that across a whole season, you'd no doubt be a Player of the Year contender. How do you reflect on the frustrating bit and how you manage that? And we'll come to the second half of the season in a minute.
The first was really frustrating. Obviously, coming to a new club, the last thing you want is to pick up any sort of injury. Especially what turned out to be quite a long one with me with my back. But I think that was me paying the price of maybe not doing so much in the summer. maybe coming back a wee bit behind. So I've made sure I'm not making that mistake again. I've came back as well as I can this year. Fortunately, picked up that wee illness, but still feeling good and ready to go for the competitive stuff. But I think I've said to you before, I was just delighted to get back playing the second half of the season and put the first half of the season behind, and actually get to show the fans, what I'm about. Instead of thinking, they're just maybe signed somebody to pick up a wage or an injury-prone player or that. As you know, that's not me. I want to be out there with the boys every week, fighting for that 3 points, and as I say, want to get the club promoted.
Yeah, I think it's probably that, to an extent, that cliche of it's like getting a new signing. When you came back and hit the form you were in, especially playing with Big Brian, it was an absolute delight to watch you. I asked Brian, describe Scott Robinson in 3 words, and he said intelligent, technically brilliant. Great relationship with him on and off the park, but on the park, what's it like to play with the captain?
He's honestly, he's absolutely brilliant. We don't stop talking to each other. I think we just click sometimes with players. We just know where we're going to be, just sort of feed off each other. And as you say, I would get on with him really well off the park. He's a great guy, top pro. Credit to himself, really. What is he? 36, 37, still playing at this level, still double figures. So he's one to look up to as well. And if I can play at that age, I'll be absolutely delighted. But really looking forward to playing with him again this season.
Absolutely. And now with Fitzy, Logan Chalmers, Dan Mackay and Stevie Lawless to come back, there's some serious competition middle to front. I mean, you'll relish that, but what a great place for the club to be.
We can't forget that. We've still got Stevie to come back as well. Hopefully before second half of the season, but if it is going to be the second half of the season, he'll still play a massive part. There'll be loads of football to play still. And, I'm sure he'll come back in great condition, looks after himself and a top player. So he could be really crucial for us come the second half of the season.
Certainly will. And your role, not just on the pitch, as a senior pro, you've got a role to play off the pitch. You've talked about sort of mentoring some of the young players, but you seem to bring a real positivity and determination to the dressing room that translates onto the pitch. You'll see that as a part of your role as a professional footballer at your stage of your career to impact not just in the 90 minutes on the pitch, but all through the week as well.
I think you need that, Brian. You need the sort of older experienced ones. Me, Brian, Aero, Stevie, Banzo, the likes to sort of keep driving the training every day as well. Keep the standards up. Make sure no one's really slacking off for that. Big Aero takes charge of the fines and all that. So keeping on top of all that. But I think it's key to train the way you're going to play. And the standards need to be high in training if you want to be a successful team.
And being a successful team is what we're all looking for this season. Just a couple of final questions, Scott. Hope for the season ahead. It's a fairly straightforward answer after 3. It's actually 3 seasons in the playoffs, obviously 2 when we've come really, really close. We all want to go one better this season. It goes without saying.
That's it really. That's the goal. It's just get promotion. And hopefully that's just winning the league outright. I think we can do it. Like, look at the additions. It's been added to the squad as well. If we can get the fans behind us here, you know what it's like in the playoffs. The place was absolutely jumping. So if we can get more season tickets sold, more people showing up on a Saturday, it'll be brilliant because it does give us that wee edge, that wee extra half yard on the Saturday. Fans behind the goal in the John Lambie. Bouncing down the boing. Hopefully we see more of that this season. But I think we could, no disrespect to anyone else, I think we could run teams off the park at times if we sort of if we start the way we finished off last season and turn a few of the draws into wins. I'm sure we'll be right up there challenging.
Absolutely. A fiercely competitive championship, I'm sure it'll be once again, but that's what makes it the best league in Scotland in many people's opinion. I'm glad you mentioned the fans. Just want to finish with that. You've covered it quite a lot there, but just a message to them that their support, home and away, can be a difference maker for the club this season.
Definitely. And if they can, buy season tickets or show up on the Saturday, it'll be brilliant to help us. I know it's hard at times, but it definitely really, it spurs the team on, and and seeing them bouncing behind the goal, it makes a great atmosphere, and it makes it enjoyable for us out there. Pushes us on, and hopefully they can show up.
Absolutely. And you'll have a new celebration up your sleeve after the famous darts one?
Maybe another darts one. We'll see. I think we're getting the new Ryder Cup started soon. Hopefully Stevie will get that started soon, which is good for team morale as well. It keeps Stevie involved when he's injured. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm not sure it's a pleasure to watch you play darts all the time, but it's certainly a pleasure to watch you play football. Scott, thanks for your time today. Wish you the very best of luck for the season ahead.
Cheers, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbo, and thank you for your time as well to the fans for listening. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please do share any feedback as always, and we'll see you next week for episode 3. Go on the Jags.